Okay, sorry for the handheld shot here and the air conditioner noise, but this is not a professional review done by somebody who got this for free. I am a person who has been designing and printing my own stuff for 8 years, and I needed a new printer. My old MakerBot Replicator 5th Gen, it has been an absolute workhorse, and I would buy another MakerBot printer, but they don't really have anything in the price range of the K1C, and they don't offer anything in that $400 to $600 price range at all. Couldn't afford a Method or a sketch printer from MakerBot, so I decided to give this Creality K1C a try. Now, as I said, this is to replace the MakerBot printer, and my goal here is to just get another printer up and running with the least amount of fuss. And so this is going to be an honest review from somebody who paid full price for the thing, and if something gets in my way, I am going to let you know. So I did run into some problems already, little bit silly. One was there's a screw that's like down in the back of the machine back there, and that was a little bit hard to remove. Not bad, a little bit frustrating. On the screen, it's kind of tricky to get the cable plugged in, and it could be a little bit longer. That would be nice. And then the big problem I had is I went to turn the machine on and nothing happened. So I was messing around with the screen connection and stuff, and it was kind of making a sound, and I didn't understand what was going on, but it's this power switch over here. This allows you to switch from 240 to 115 or 120, and it is originally set to 240 so that if you're in a 240 country, you don't accidentally fry your board. That's smart, but it's not mentioned anywhere in the manual, and I finally found the answer on Reddit. So that was very frustrating. I thought that maybe I had a broken unit, because it just wasn't doing anything, and I knew it had power. So that was a little bit frustrating. But now we're into the setup, and that seems to be pretty straightforward. We're gonna have to connect to the network there, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, it is 6:30 now, and I started unboxing this exactly at 4:30. And I think we're finally ready to do a test print. So it went through a bunch of updates. I got the latest software. It wanted to do the self-leveling and stuff again after that, so I did that. I did have the problem that a lot of people mention in reviews, where the lid gets knocked off during the self-check. So it'll probably get knocked up during printing, but I'm going to be doing PLA first, so we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll just take it off. Okay, that's done, and it says it took 17 minutes. So that's not bad. I'm going to wait a minute for it to cool down. I can see a couple of quality issues from here, though. There's a few layer lines and stuff, but overall it does not look bad, and so I prepared a bigger file of my own design, and go ahead and print that, and we'll see how it does. Alright, it is 7:30, and I'm printing my own design here. This one has a pretty gnarly first layer, and it requires a lot of accuracy, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so that took 47 minutes, and it would have taken 4 hours on the MakerBot. It looks pretty good overall. There's a little bit of stringing, like right there. Really not bad at all. The gear teeth themselves look good. There's a little bit of glue that sticks to them, so maybe you want to wash your parts when you're done. Get the glue off the bottom. but overall those gear teeth and everything else look really good. Alright, after I filmed the first part of the review, I decided to sort of just live with the printer for like a couple months and basically use it for a lot of different stuff. And that way I could get used to how it works so that I would be fairly experienced with it before I give my final thoughts. A lot of people do reviews 10 minutes after they set up the printer and print a few things, and that's not really fair because you want to know how is this printer going to treat you over the long term. So I printed a bunch of stuff. Like I have a huge bag of parts here that I went through, printed all this different stuff, and was working on my designs, did a lot of prototyping. I did a lot of test prints. I tried some different materials. I tried some fun kind of prints. This came out pretty good. This has a pretty rough first layer with a lot of sharp edges and stuff, and even the little points and stuff came out okay. And I just wanted to sort of go over what I think, after using the printer for a while, what I think are the pros and cons of the Creality K1C. The first thing is it was pretty easy to set up. Other than those few issues that I mentioned earlier in the video with like the power supply, the fiddly cord for the screen, and some issues with the cloud app and stuff, the setup did not take much time and there wasn't a lot of fussing around. There was no real adjusting or anything that I had to do, and I did not have to replace any parts, do any upgrades, none of that stuff. The print quality is definitely another plus. It is pretty good. Now there are some settings in the slicer that you can use to get better quality for things like curved surfaces, but that's pretty good for a circular shape done in that carbon fiber filament. This is with variable layer height. There are some quality issues here and there, but for the most part, if you set up your slicer correctly, your prints come out good. Now, I've had a little bit of an issue with the filament. The K1C is sensitive to wet filament, it seems, and you will get stringing and pimples and other issues like that with wet filament. But if you dry out your filament, you can get this kind of surface quality, which is really, really good. All the parts I've been printing, right, this is carbon fiber, this is regular PLA, this is also regular PLA. Quality has been really good with that. I like that it has a lot of filament options that I can use. I like being able to use the carbon fiber stuff, although I'm not very sold on the idea. I like using PETG. This is a little light holder that I designed, which in PLA just melts in the Arizona sun. Now it also melted in PETG, but I printed it in ABS, and it's been working good. It's not melted, and it's been outside for a few weeks. So I like being able to use all the different kinds of filament. Using ABS was possible on my old printer, but it was tricky and it never came out real good. The ABS came out good, the PETG came out good. Now it's melted, but that's not the fault of the printer. The part is strong and everything was straight and printed correctly. No real issues with stringing or anything like that. One other thing I really like is the flexible build plate. I really like the flexible build plate. That's a great option. I should have had that on my MakerBot all these years. I never tried it. It is available, but I never tried one. That is really, really handy, but you do need to use glue stick on it. So that can be sort of frustrating to be putting the glue stick on and then cleaning it off. Now it cleans off with just water if you get the right glue stick. So it's easy, you just wipe it with a wet paper towel and then dry it off and the glue stick will come off. That way you don't run glue down your sink. So the flexible build plate is a really good option. I really like that it comes with that, and it's heated build plate, so you know all your filaments are going to work right. I really appreciate the speed of it. It is much faster, about 6 times faster than my MakerBot was, but that starts to get into some of the cons of this printer. One of the things that I ran into is it can go too fast. And I know that's kind of weird for a con, but sometimes if it goes a little too fast, your print quality can go down a little bit. The other issue that's kind of related to that is that the K1C is really loud. Makes a lot of noise, partly because it's printing really fast, but partly because of the fans and stuff. It's really loud, much louder than my MakerBot printer was. Another issue that I kind of ran into was loading and unloading filament. It's a little bit fiddly with the locking lever and stuff. I didn't like that method. The MakerBot printer had a much better experience overall with like loading and unloading filament. I found that a lot of times I had to kind of unload twice to get the filament out of the K1C. So you might consider that a minor con. But it was a little bit frustrating because I wanted to test a lot of different kinds of filament, so I was changing it a lot. And the final like con is sort of the software. So I had trouble with the Cloud app. I did finally get it to work, but the Cloud app isn't awesome. Does work in a basic way, but it isn't the greatest Cloud app. Isn't the best way to connect to the printer. I mainly use the desktop slicer, and you can use that to monitor the prints and do time-lapse videos and stuff, so that's great. The slicer is a little bit prone to error though. I've had some issues with saving settings and recalling settings, and there are some hidden options that you need to click a button to be able to see, and you really need to check all that stuff and look at the previews in the slicer before you print. That's a general rule with 3D printing though, so I don't know if that's really a con with this printer. But yeah, you do need to be very careful. I've had some slicing problems that caused issues and some failed prints because of that. So you need to look at your previews, be real careful how you use the slicer. Always double check your settings before you send a print. Overall, I am really, really happy with the K1C, and I think if you want to buy one, even several months after this video has been released, or a couple years down the road, probably still be a great printer. Like I said, it has been doing everything that I needed to do, and it has not required any messing around. Like, I haven't had to replace any parts or anything. I did print the filament holder, but that's not really a must-have. And the print quality has been really good, unless, you know, I screwed it up in the slicer. So overall, really happy with the K1C, and I hope that it will continue to work for many years, just like my MakerBot did.